Marvellous! Pip pip, tally-ho, Joolz Guides here, in which I wander around London and tell you fascinating facts. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you like these videos. Today we're in Peckham Rye, or as it was known 1,000 years ago, Peckham, because Peak is Old English for like hills, and ham means a hamlet or village, and Rye means a brook. Like, because there's actually the River Peck used to run through here. They've covered it over now. Hence Peckham Rye, the village amongst the hills with the brook babbling through it. And so because this was just a village in the middle of fields, this is where farmers and stuff used to rest when they were coming into London to take their sheep up to Smithfield Market to go and sell them and be slaughtered and stuff. That's why this pub here is called the Kentish Drovers. Actually, it was originally on the other side of the road. I think some of them would graze on the common over there whilst they took refreshment and a bit of rest. Actually, the whole of this street here, like Rye Lane, was very Art Deco, beautiful buildings. We'll walk down this road in a minute. It's just such beautiful buildings. I mean, look at this building here. This was the Jones and Higgins department store. It opened in 1867. It was operating right up until 1980, I believe. But this was one of the most well-known shops in the whole of South London, back in the days when this was known as the Golden Mile for shopping. It used to rival Oxford Street. But look, the clock tower there was based on the Piazza San Marco in Venice. You can see it used to kind of stretch much further along the street there. Don't get many department stores, even the ones on Oxford Street are closing down, aren't they? I mean,
I know there's angels up in the sky, watching each one of us as we go.
that's what I like about this area is if you look above street level, you see some beautiful vintage shop signs. We're just coming to the junction of, right, you got Peckham High Street up here, and I think this is Peckham Hill Street, if I'm not mistaken. But look, you see what I was saying about all these lovely old vintage signs? Look at that. Do you remember in the Mile End video we were talking about Charrington breweries? They owned pubs and stuff. Look at that beautiful pub there. There's been a pub there since the 1700s. The whole area around here used to belong to King Henry I 1,000 years ago, and he gave it to his bastard son, Robert, Earl of Gloucester. He was the lord of the manor. It would have been around here. I mean, this little junction here, for example, you can still see it on old maps from, if you look at a map from 1765, you can still recognise actually the way the roads ran from hundreds of years ago. Just opposite there, actually, let's just get across into the middle here so we can see it, because it's the Manze's Pie and Eel House. You would have thought that pie and eel shops are an English thing. It's actually mostly known for East End, because it was supposed to be quite cheap food back then. And but Michele Manze was an Italian. Before these shops existed, Simple Simon would have met a pieman. Pieman would have been walking around the streets, and you could have bought pie off them in the street. But then they opened up these shops. Excellent. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. I'm not sure about eels. I don't think I fancy eels. I think I'm going to go with pie. Pie, please.
And liquor.
And liquor, whatever that is.
It is the green parsley sauce.
Green parsley sauce. Oh, here it comes. Marvellous. Thanks very much. Hello, sir. May we join you?
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah, nice one. There we go.
So why the knife then?
Huh?
Why the knife?
Oh, what? Am I not supposed to have a knife? Well, you got a spoon and a... Oh. I'm obviously not used to this sort of
Maybe
paper.
I'm too old school. And what you do, cut your pie with this side, and then you can scoop your liquor up with it as well.
Oh, I see.
And turn that over as well.
Oh, well, oops, okay, all right. So I've done it. I'm clearly no expert, am I? But thank God we met you. What's your name?
Mark.
Mark. Nice to meet you, Mark.
Oh, come on, Joolz, get on there.
I feel like I'm
I like
getting
your
schooled. I'm getting schooled.
Minced beef.
Minced beef. There you go. It's nice.
beef pie.
Fills you up as well. I mean, like
Yeah,
this
right.
was originally, these pie and mash shops were mostly in the East End, weren't they?
And they were eel pies. They say it's a secret recipe.
Oh, okay. I'm not allowed to ask.
Like back in the time, it used to be the juice from the eels.
Right.
That's why you get that famous place out in Richmond, Eel Pie Island.
Oh yeah, I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, go there. Yeah.
From Rome to Dover, from Australia to Dubai, there's even an angel in Peckham Rye.
Just round the corner from there is the library here. Actually, it's a really nice library, this. I wish we had one like this near me.
Well, it looks like an airport from Finland.
It's actually won an architectural prize called the Sterling Prize. It's one of the most prestigious architectural prizes that you could get.
I mean, of course it has, you know.
So yeah, up on the 4th floor, there's a bust of a head, one of the 100 greatest black Britons. He was called Dr. Harold Moody. He lived just up near Queen's Road, Peckham. He moved here around the beginning of the 20th century and he came to study medicine, and no one was giving him a job because he was black. And so he set up his own medical practice. He also set up what was called the League of Coloured Peoples to campaign for racial equality and civil rights. It's a really nice library actually inside. It's quite spacious, right next to Mount View Drama School. Actually, look, come over here, Simon, because look, just at the end here, next to Mount View, is this lovely green walkway. Beginning of the 1800s, they built a canal. I think the idea was to go all the way from Surrey Docks, all the way down to Portsmouth, actually. But they ran out of money and they only made it as far as Camberwell, I think. But anyway, this is the Peckham branch of the canal. This connected Peckham with the River Thames. I think this was open around 1826, but look, now they've covered it all over. They moved the main docks from Surrey down to Tilbury, and so they didn't really need this canal anymore. This is going to have to be for another video because that's quite a long way up there, leads up towards Burgess Park and Old Kent Road, but we're going that way. Just walking the other direction up Peckham High Street here, and look across the road there, look, Muir Famous Stout and Ales. I love these old signs, like the Charrington one. That's the same one. I feel really annoyed because I missed it out in my video about St Giles, but that's where in 1814 they used to have their brewery just there where the Dominion Theatre is today, opposite Tottenham Court Road Station, and it was the Muir Brewery that had the famous beer flood at 1814. They had this massive 22-foot high wooden vat of beer, and it ruptured or something, causing like all the beer to flow out, and they lost like 300 gallons of beer, and it completely decimated the area. 8 people died. They stayed making beer up until the 1960s. It's nice. I think that's now like a cinnamon, the Cinnamon Tree Bakery it is now. But just like I say, it's a lovely thing about the whole area. They got all these old things. I mean, just to point out that at Wilson Cycle Shop, I believe this is the oldest shop in the area. This is from 1870. Beautiful, actually. Isn't it? Oh, nice.
Like that's part of the original counter.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Look at that.
And if you look through to the workshop, you've still got the old drawers and the old workbench. Mr. Wilson was the original owner. His family had it from his dad, then the next.
Yeah.
That he never had any kids, so he was the last generation of Wilsons.
Mr. Wilson was 91 when he passed away. And the day my dad opened, my father opened at 9 o'clock, and at 9:05 the same day, Mr. Wilson passed away. So it was like he was holding on for somebody to continue his legacy.
So he knew his legacy would live on in Peckham, and we kept the name. And the signs you see over the front of the shop are original as well.
Actually, look, we're not going to go up there and right. Over to the right there is where the housing estates are, and presumably where they based the Trotter's house in Only Fools and Horses. It was actually filmed in Ealing, but it was supposed to be in Peckham, and I think they probably based it on the tower blocks, which used to be around there, but I think they knocked them down in the end, and they built different estates. And just opposite there, the Persian Taste of Persia, Persepolis. Salam.
Salam.
Chatori, chua khubam. Banisti. It's Iranian New Year. And I should say to you, Nowruz Mubarak.
Very good. Eid Shimon Mubarak. Nowruzitun Piruz. The year is now 1401. The new year was on Sunday, 3:33 p.m. and 26 seconds.
Okay, so we're going to buy some Persian stews. What have we got here?
So we've got Badam June, which is an aubergine casserole with split pea.
Okay.
Very famous in Iran. And secondly, we have Ghormeh Sabzi, which is a sabzi herb casserole with kidney beans.
In Iran, many things are prepared for the new year, which goes on for 2 weeks. And at the end of the new year, those things are usually eaten or disposed of.
امشب چی کار میکنی؟ بیا بریم سینما.
That's all the Farsi I speak.
The wheatgrass is grown as a sign of fertility, and then after 2 weeks they tie knots in it and throw it in running water, wherein you may or may not have your wishes granted.
مرسی خداحافظ. خداحافظ.
So when you go walking, give a bright shining smile to all the angels on the golden.
We're on Rye Lane now. really amazing Art Deco sort of buildings. There's so many of them. Only, for example, this one, right? This used to be a Sainsbury's. It's nice that they've kept it. I think the whole floor used to be like that, but they've just kept this strip. But look at those, you know, lovely little details you get, and they're all over the place here. I mean, look over there. I mean, it's a pity what they've done with the Rye Lane market with those flags coming up, because that's actually a really nice building, isn't it? Don't you think? And also, look at this one, for example. It's a beautiful building, that. That's which is now McDonald's. Used to be C&A, I think. They still have C&A in some countries. They've definitely got one in Serbia, because I was there. I see it in my video about Belgrade.
He could be a Higgins, a Jones, or a Jack. So don't shoot his wings in the back.
This way, what? See, this little bit here makes me feel like I'm in Gotham City or something. It's really, it's like, but the station is beautiful. I mean, Peckham Rye Station opened up in 1865. I mean, before then, if you wanted to get into London, you had to take a stagecoach under armed guard because they had so many highwaymen and people attacking these stagecoaches. And then in 1851, there was this guy called Thomas Tilling, and he started running the omnibus company. And those were the first ones which actually had scheduled stops, like bus stops and stuff like that. In fact, Thomas Tilling, he started to spread out all over London. He used his, you know, like a bus with a horse. So his company continued in operation up until the First World War, when I think they nabbed his horses because they needed to use them in the First World War to sort of pull all the guns and everything. So poor fellow lost all his horses. I think that's when it finished. But anyway, in 1865, they opened up this beautiful station. And it's amazing. Actually, they've got this beautiful staircase in here. The old Victorian staircase is still there. It led up to the waiting room, which is still there. You can see it from platform 3 upstairs. And it was even a billiard room as well for quite a while. I think they used it up until the 60s. But if you really want to know what it looked like here when we were young, you just have to watch the first episode of The Sweeney, the opening episode of The Sweeney. It's all set around here. Inspector Regan gets his car stolen, and they're all chasing him around here and stuff.
The great John Thor.
Yes. What is it about The Sweeney, Simon, that is so great?
I think the grittiness, the fact that they filmed on location all around London back in the 1970s, that is just absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so even though you don't like the story or whatever, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but there's always something there to take back because it's London, there and then. It's a time capsule, it's great.
Any younger viewers watching who don't know what The Sweeney is, it was a superb show from the 1970s.
I watch you all the time.
Oh, thanks, sir, do you?
On YouTube, I watch you all the time.
Thanks, sir. That's nice. Yeah, you from around here?
No, I'm not too far from here. Tulse Hill.
People are always saying that I should do more South London, so we're finally... Cheers, man.
Don't get...
You know what Sweeney means?
It's like a slang.
It's rhyming slang. The Sweeney Todd Flying Squad.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
well,
Flying Squad is a branch of the police.
You're Catholic, you're this, you're that. That's not what's saying it. It's Jesus saying. Jesus saying. Jesus saying.
Just briefly, look, breadfruit plants. That's the thing from my Peckham video. But the whole mutiny on the Bounty was caused by those. Or in Tahitian, uru.
I know there's angels up in the sky, watching each one of us as we go by.
Join me through here, look, 133 Rye Lane. It's just opposite the station, really. Round the back here, there's this massive warehouse. You wouldn't know it was here if you're just wandering along the high street. I know you love a window, Simon, but that's a typical sort of window that you would like.
Yes. Lovely, aren't they?
I mean, this building here used to be George Bussey's factory. He made things like cricket bats, snooker tables, billiard tables which turned into furniture, things like that. He also made munitions, clay pigeon sort of devices. But after the Second World War, it went into decline, and now it's this massive place full of dance studios, office space. They've got cafes up on the roof, restaurants, all sorts of stuff goes on in here. Look, it's an art studio there. There's a shop in here.
How do we get to the roof? Just up...
Oh, everything's closed. mention it. It's got so many amazing little spots where you can just sit and do some work, and they've got amazing views all across London. And unfortunately, we're having a bit of trouble getting to the roof because they're not open at the moment. But this building here, you see that used to say Holdrons. So I think Rons. It must have been. You can see the difference in the colour there.
Yeah,
they've obviously topped off the brick. That was a much longer chimney before, and it said Holdrons before, which was this huge popular department store. It was. We'll see a bit more of it on the main road over there. That big chimney we saw, which said Holdrons on it, that used to be a massive department store. It was actually back in the 1930s. I think it was run by the same people who ran Selfridges.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
this was a really beautiful arcade, shopping arcade, you know.
Are
Beautiful.
you saying it isn't beautiful?
Well, it doesn't look quite as grand.
I am shocked.
Now look, just opposite Bournemouth Road here, we're just coming off Rye Lane. You've got this rather splendid kind of facade and leading to the car park. But look on the floor here, you've got these eyes. I think this was here when the original cinema was here. From around the time of the First World War up until 1965, there was a huge cinema here, and it's been knocked down. But I think these are kind of remnants of it.
From Rome to Dover, from Australia to Dubai. Come down and meet me in
So just
Peckham.
behind the station is Blenham Grove, and all these railway arches have these excellent little kind of retail outlets and factories and shops and bars and cafes. It's really nice along here. You wouldn't think this was here. Mind your head. Oh. James, lovely to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How's it going?
Originally it was myself and two other mates. We started in our back garden and then we took on this arch. Now we've got the arch next door. And yeah, we kind of do the entire process by hand. A few bread knives, these are some salmon slices that I'm just starting the handles on. If you look at you see the layers?
Oh yeah, folded. Yeah.
So we've kind of taken two different grades of steel, got them really hot, squashed them together, rolled them out.
I like those swords in Highlander and in Kill Bill. Folded 200 times.
Obviously it needs a bit more of a polish, but it'll just be silver. And then we'll dip this into ferric nitrate and then really, really strong coffee. And it comes out looking like that.
Really strong coffee.
Instant coffee, yeah. I don't know why.
Why?
Interesting.
So it brings out a contrast in the two.
Yeah, I did a blacksmithing degree.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you did a blacksmithing degree. Yeah, you don't meet. I never meet blacksmiths. That's such a cool thing to say. It's your Tinder profile. Say blacksmith. You must get loads of swipes, no?
Yeah.
And now on the side of it, flatten it off. Just
Like there. Do you think that I found a new vocation? Maybe not.
Always looking at the back now.
Maybe you could show. BlenhamForge.co.uk. Perfect. Thanks, man. See you later. Loads of these lovely places around here. Look, this is one. Hello. Hello. Wow, look at Debbie.
Yes.
Lovely to meet you, Debbie.
you too.
Oh, you're making a ceramics, a ceramicist.
Yes. This is Emma Fenelon's work.
Right.
She does sculpture. I make tableware, mainly for restaurants.
Where can I eat off your plates?
Lucky Cat, Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
posh.
this was on the Great British Menu.
Really?
When we first got here, it was a space that people could afford. The rents have gone up. They are becoming unaffordable for creative people.
Do you think you'll have to move soon then?
Well, the thing is, where would I go? There aren't many spaces that we could afford to be in.
Yeah.
It's a space you need. You
Yeah.
need creative things that aren't always clean and tidy.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the ghost?
Ooh, my love, my darling.
There's the ghost. There's your ghost.
Hunger for.
That's
Oh,
great.
Joolz.
Look at that.
And then it ends up being like this. Once I put the
Amazing.
colour on.
It would not
So-
be made of gold.
It's beautiful, though, isn't it?
That's
So,
the cup
yeah.
of a carpenter. You chose wisely.
Oh, dear.
If I want to commission you for my my flashy restaurant that I'm obviously going to open
Go on
up.
my website, which is debbierandallceramics.com.
Yes.
It's been lovely meeting you. Too.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck with it all.
We'll see you next time.
I walked in a village in old London town. There was a dark stream that ran under.
Julian?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know where I could get an MOT, do you? Literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 signs.
Usually when we go to a bar, it heralds the end of the video, but we're not actually finishing the video here. I just have to go into this place because it's called the Brick Brewery, and it's this bloke called Ian whose wife gave him a home brew kit about 10 years ago or something, and then he just started on making beer in his garden, and now it's this excellent brewery down here.
Ian.
Hi, I'm Julian.
Nice to meet you, Julian.
This is your place?
It is, yes.
This is, and it's all started because of this lady here.
Absolutely.
It's her fault.
Well, she bought me a stocking filler for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, make beer and within add water, and within 3 weeks you got beer. And it was June, July, wasn't it, in the summertime? And she said, "Are you ever going to do that gift I gave you for Christmas?" I was like, "Yes, I'll go do it." So I went down to the shed at the bottom of our garden. And I never returned from the shed. It was like months later, I got hooked.
I want a Pilsner of some sort. Do you do any of that? A glass of Peckham Spring. Do you remember that episode of Only Fools and Horses when they start pouring tap water into their bottles and they start selling it as like mineral water because they claim they found a spring underneath Peckham. And your first pint you served in here, how much would that have cost back then? What year was that?
Oh, the year would have been 2013. It was probably about £3.80.
And now is it like
£4.90.
Ah, still under a fiver. Still under a fiver.
Still under a fiver.
For London, that's pretty good.
It's good. Yeah, it's called a tap room because it's used a direct retail space for a brewery. I mean, we packaged some beer today, brought it over later in the afternoon, and it's pouring right now.
Cheers, son.
I'm your number one fan.
Excellent. Oh, that's so nice.
I've been a subscriber for years.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's the freshest beer money can buy.
You can buy knives at the old forge and the devil might tempt you. Look at the sun shining through.
This is Chaumer Square. George Chaumer, he was a French landowner, end of the 19th century. He built these beautiful buildings, but they've all got front gardens rather than having back gardens. It's nice though, isn't it? It's pretty. They just back onto this building here, which is kind of interesting.
Let's put the sign behind the lamppost there. How about
It's a very odd decision, but yeah, girdlers' cottages these are. In 1609, George Palin, he was the master of the Worshipful Company of Girdlers. He decided to leave some money in his will for men who had fallen on hard times. So these are almshouses. They're rather beautiful, aren't they? They don't date from them. They date from the beginning of that's around the 19th century, but they're still some of the oldest buildings in the area. He left all this money in his will for these people who have fallen on hard times. I don't know what he'd make of the fact that they've now been sold off for probably cost quite a lot of money since about the 80s, and they've turned into private houses. Maybe his bequests ran out or something. The girdlers. You know what a girdler is, Simon?
Girdler is something to do with boots.
No, girdle. Someone who makes belts.
I know there's angels up in the sky, watching each one of us as we
Very
go
posh around here. So it's all completely.
No Jennies around here.
from Australia to Dubai, and I've seen an angel in Peckham Rye.
I've got a friend called Gavin who lives in this street. He's a bell end. Bellenden Road. They've got some interesting plaques on the sides here which remember some of the historical people from the area. I love these old sort of Victorian-looking schools. Una Marson, 1905 to 1965, a Jamaican feminist, broadcaster, journalist and poet, became the first black woman to be employed by the BBC with a radio show called Calling the West Indies. Viewers probably remember listening to that. Elsie Bowerman, a suffragette and leading site of the Peckham settlement. She survived the sinking of the Titanic and witnessed the Russian Revolution. Speaking of bell ends, that strange shaped bollard. Actually, these bollards are designed by Anthony Gormley. You know, the guy who did the Angel of the North?
Yeah.
And those sculptures of blokes just standing on...
there.
That's actually a sculpture of himself, isn't it? I dare say someone will nick them and try and sell them before long. Lovely street, this. Completely different. You could be anywhere, like You know, one of the back streets in Hampstead or Kensington, you know. I've got a hat stand like that. I love these things. The Nag's Head. Isn't the Nag's Head where Bellboy goes in Only Fools and Horses? He's always saying, "Oh, Rodders, I'll see you down the Nag's Head."
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I think it's
Just up the other end of Rye Lane, up towards the common, the park, is what is officially the best vegan restaurant in the world. In the whole world. Do you know how I know that? Because it's run by my cousin. So it's my cousin's place, the Omni Collective. Let's go inside.
Hello.
Hello.
Jessie, it's Jessie. And Little Lost Lou.
Hello.
By sheer coincidence.
So everything's seasonal veg, so all our veg is kind of only in for about 1 or 2 months of the year. So we call ourselves like micro-seasonal, so we change our menu kind of every 3 to 4 weeks to go with the different veg that's in season. And we just focus on elevating vegetables and kind of showcasing their versatility, really.
Actually, Jess is my cousin's daughter, which makes you my...
Second cousin?
Are you sure you're not first cousin once removed?
Or is it? I don't know.
I don't
So
know.
you've ordered charred calcots here with a romesco sauce. Calcots are pretty special. They're only in season for about 2 months of the year. And then you've got petit violet artichokes here with a herb aioli. Our suppliers, they give us about like a week's notice, and then everything's in season for about kind of 1 month to 2 months. So we get like the freshest produce. Grilled aubergine focaccia there, and yeah, we make all our bread fresh daily. Yeah. Wow. All the food is made fresh and in-house. We're making our own drinks and drinking vinegars and spirits as well. We've got like a batch of limoncellos on our shelves up there.
And they even have the beer they use here is from the Brick Brewery that we went to. Yeah. Excellent. It is, honestly, it's the best vegan restaurant I've ever been to. I've only been to this one, to be fair. It's really nice, this end of Peckham Rye, up near Peckham Rye Park, the Angel Oak Pub. It's called the Angel Oak Pub because in 1765, William Blake, who was one of England's most actually underrated, I think, poets and artists, he saw visions of angels in an oak tree here. He was actually quite obsessed with angels. He said he saw a tree filled with angels, bright angelic wings, bespangling every bough like stars. I don't know which oak it was, but it was in one of these trees somewhere in the park here. It's probably on the wacky backy, I expect. If I were to ask you to name 5 great English poets, I suppose you'd probably say Shakespeare, Keats, Byron, Shelley, I don't know, Milton, is he English? I don't know. Anyway, you probably wouldn't mention Blake, would you? He's so well known. I mean, he wrote that, and did those feet in ancient times. Yeah, Jerusalem, that's a poem by him. He also did Tiger, Tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Can't even, that's why he's not in the top 5. Can't even rhyme symmetry with eye. I love it when they do those rhymes. Eye and symmetry. Actually, speaking of Blake, these wings at the top of this totem pole, a bit weird seeing a totem pole in the middle of here, but those are supposed to be wings of angels, I think, on the top. So the angels that Blake saw, he was kind of obsessed with angels. There's a famous painting called Satan Arousing Rebel Angels. Anyway, this was carved out of a tree which actually stood here. I think it must have been struck by lightning or something, I don't know, got blown down in a storm, I guess. O Rose, thou art sick, the invisible worm that flies in the night, in the howling wind, has found out thy bed of crimson joy, and his dark secret love does thy life destroy. The other side of the park there is a children's playground, which we won't go too close to film, because we don't want to get into trouble. But until quite recently, there was a few huts there. They were used in the Second World War to house Italian prisoners of war, mostly who were captured in North Africa, I think. They were made to raise chickens here and grow vegetables on these allotments, which are over the other side there. I think it was right there next to that tree. They were actually allowed to roam around Peckham. They weren't sort of locked up the whole time. If a prisoner of war camp can be nice, it was probably quite well treated. But then there was a joke that the security was more to prevent the women from getting in, the English women from getting in, than to stop the Italian men getting out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the River Peck, the underground river that I was talking about right at the start. I think this is the babbling brook they're talking about. I mean, it must be, because I can't find any other one. And I don't think it goes very far, so it goes off under the ground now. Anyway, if I'm wrong, don't get too angry. It's somewhere around here anyway.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah, don't unsubscribe if I made a mistake. A pint at the Angel Oak, I think. Cheers, Simon. Excellent, an excellent stay in Peckham. I enjoyed that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you like the videos, and also follow me on my Instagram, apparently, which is at Joolz Guides Official. And if you want to get in touch, you can write to me on my website, through my website, which is joolzguides.com. See you next time. Hooray!